Data is all around us. It would take a long time to say what data is because data is really everything.
It goes from anecdotal data, what teachers' impressions are, what students' impressions are, what their first impressions are, what they reflect upon. It can be their reflections. So after they've had time to think about an issue, it can be their reflections on that issue. It can be a survey that I give to students and to teachers and to parents and to other stakeholders in the school. It can be a coming together, and I think data at its best is a coming together of these different kinds of data.
The best way to think about data is it's the kind of information from a variety of sources that can really help us understand what we need to do next.
The reality is very few schools have reliable school climate data right now. The measurement systems that exist tend to be statewide and they tend to not be disaggregated by school level. What's really critical is that we start providing data based on the experiences of people in the school, the students, the staff, and their families, about what the school is actually like. And that's what the new federal Safe and Supportive Schools grant program is designed to do, is to help states set up measurement systems that give meaningful data about the experiences of students, staff, and student families at the school building level so that individual school leaders know where they're strong, know where they're weak, and know where they need to improve.
what is data?
Well, data is something I'm very interested in because I do a lot of evaluation of school programs. And to me, data can be a wide range of things, I'll say, a wide range of things. But it can be, which also should include data from the school itself. How heterogeneous is it? How many children are on free lunch? What are the sizes of the classrooms? What are the credentials of the teachers? All kinds of what we call school level ideas. So what is it about the school? Then what is it about each group within the school? Data can come from all those sources, and the best studies, I think, are done that when that data is taken together and looked at. It doesn't have to converge, but the patterns and the distinct patterns among them need to be interpreted. And so data, when I go into a school, the first data for me is what the school looks like. That's data. What's on the walls? Who greets me? Do the children say some children guide me to a class, other children scurry away from me in a different school? That's data. That's my observational data. I also think that observational data is important, and we, in our studies, we do observations. We sit in classrooms, we have a protocol, we follow the protocol. And we do that selectively. Why? Because seeing how teachers and students work together is not the same thing that they can tell us on any survey. They can tell us a lot about that process, but they can't really tell us the process. And so hallway observations, classroom observations, on the playground, wherever observations are important. Reflections are important. So hopefully surveys are reflective instruments as well, that the students and the teachers have a chance to reflect while they answer the questions. Other reflective kind of data, narratives, interviews, focus groups, all of these things are important ways to understand the question. Now the questions can be varied. So if you want to, so it depends. Some data are better suited for others, but in my view, a smattering of all these kinds of data usually work the best for answering larger questions like, is this process going well? Is this improvement project moving along as it should? Are the students performing better overall? And those who are not performing better, what's going on with them? So to answer the kind of questions that people want answered these days in terms of assessment, I think you really need to compile these different sorts of data. And I would say one more thing about data, which is, in my mind, the best data is also data that's usable to teachers and to administrators. That the kind of data that we as researchers come in and collect in a school should be the same kind of data that administrators and teachers can read over, can look at the scores, they can look at our results, and they can interpret. They can understand those results. So I know C strives toward creating that kind of instrument. I have an instrument on school culture that does the same thing. I can give it to students to discuss in a class. They all answer the questions. Do students and teachers trust each other here? And then you have a discussion. And so it's easy to interpret that, right? Everybody knows what they said. It's not a mystery. It's not, you don't need big total scores. You just add a few items on the same topic together, and you see, how do people feel? And why is it important that teachers have access to these data and give access to students? Because they can use it to raise their own consciousness, to create a new vision, to create, even in their own classroom, they can begin to say things like, look, we thought we trusted each other more than it seems like we do. Half the class said they really don't trust each other. If we don't want to be that kind of a class, what are we going to do about it? So data should have importance for future planning from the ground up.